Get off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pei.
And welcome. You're tuned in to Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, NBC News, CNBC News, and NBC Sports radio station, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, TuneIn, Audible, Amazon Music, Tiki Live, Rumble, Podchaser, Spreaker, and more. I am Dr. Marissa, your hashtag positively opinionated host. And as you can see, we have my fabulous Wednesday co-host. We're both still celebrating our Leo birthdays. Please welcome back to the studio, Dr. Tiffanie Tate.
Always a pleasure to be here.
Always a pleasure to have you. As you can tell from our socials, we have been having a blast for our birthdays, and we'll cover that right now as we invite you to have breakfast with us, which is my daily Blisscipline Good Life Habit. And I make all my co-hosts have breakfast with me. So top of the bun, gratitude, things that we're grateful for outside of ourselves. Bottom of the bun, we're modeling for you before you go to bed. Gratitude turned inwards. I define that as appreciation. What do we like about ourselves? So we're not going looking for love in all the wrong places, going, who likes me? Literally on social. So, Dr. Tiffanie, why don't you start? What do you like about the world in your life?
I like the fact that we can sometimes be very accepting and tolerant of others and welcoming.
Sometimes I sorry, it's not you, it's me. I'm just wondering if sometimes is more or less for me. But anyways, I am grateful that I had such a good time. With you at your black and white. It wasn't really a black and white, was it? It was 50th. It was the 50th birthday at this huge hall with like your giant family, and I got to meet all your family who are just delightful. And then to extend that we went to Kobe and danced. That was super fun. And then to the Long Beach Jazz Festival, and we danced, and that was just so much fun. I'm still like having flashbacks, and I was saying to her in the green room, I appreciate having a friend like her who started as a co-host, and then you saw how beautifully she sang happy birthday. And that's exactly how she became my co-host. After 5 or 6 years, she called me up and left that as a Leo birthday acknowledgement last year, 2 years ago. It can't be 2 years ago. It wasn't 2 years ago. Last year.
Yeah, last year.
Okay. Time flies, but so I am truly grateful for the birthday girl beside me, Dr. Tiffanie Tate.
Yes, I am very thankful to have been blessed with another year around the sun and to have been able to celebrate with lots of friends and family, because they are truly my support. And I am so thankful and blessed to have had Dr. Marissa to celebrate with us. We truly had a wonderful, wonderful time. And to have my children escort me in was just fabulous, because they have been by my side through the thick and thin of everything that I have been going through and have been through. And I am sure that they have lifted me up, and I will continue to lift them up as well.
I love it when your daughter likes my stuff on my social because I see her name go by. She's so adorable. Uh, and you have such, and I'll finish my gratitudes with, you know, I am fortunate to like meet names, celebrities, and they're just people, and they're fabulous. But I love meeting. I think my guest on Monday or Tuesday, I can't even remember, was saying like he's a Pulitzer Prize winning journalist, and he loves meeting people on the street, in the community, in prison, people who usually their names are, if they're out there, it's not in a good way. And I just love, I'm not saying that your family isn't a celebrity because some of them are, but I just love meeting people. Like people are so fascinating to me. And I met a doctor. We'll have her on the show at the waiting to line up at the nice porta potties at the jazz festival. And that's just a testament to, and I'll go to the bottom of the bun now. What I like about myself is that I love new, right? So new is new people, new activities, new things, new food. So that openness I have, it's like a magnet. I'm like Thor in life, right? I go like this and then boom, the whatever it is that is next on my joyride of life, whatever the next stop. Like when I was filming down in the water's edge for just some B-roll of where the torch was coming in, what do I see? Is Snoop Dogg. Is that Snoop Dogg? Mm-hmm. So I just love that. And so I know that that's because I am a practitioner of the law of attraction, not the secret kind, but the Abraham Hicks kind. And by staying in the best mood possible, thinking the best thoughts possible, I'm like Thor. I go whoosh, and then I meet you and Mom T, who I love, and Vanilla and William and your other aunties. And it was just delightful.
Yes.
Pardon?
Michelle, Aunt Michelle.
Aunt Michelle. Now, Vanilla is not your auntie, is she?
No, she's Michelle's best friend.
Got it. All right, your turn.
And so before I finish or say my thankfulness or gratitude, but I think it speaks to your power of positivity. Remember we talked about that, and because you have such a beautiful spirit, that power of positive thinking and the power of positivity just means that you're a light and you draw in that light because of your power of positivity. So I just think that you're just that magnet and you draw in people of like-mindedness. So I just wanted to tag onto that.
Shit. I received. Go for it.
And what I like about myself is that I think that I continue to be a light as well, but I think my light is one of a blessing to other people. And what I do is that when other people encounter me, they find that they are blessed in different ways. And when people come to me, they say, "Oh, I'm so thankful that you did this to me, or you encouraged me in this way." And because they encountered me, they say that I poured into their spirit in various ways. And when they say that, they in turn bless me in my spirit. So there's the spirit of reciprocity.
Absolutely. And you do have that as well. Dr. Tiffanie, if those of you who've just tuned in and you don't recognize her because you haven't been on my show for a while or on Wednesdays, she's such a great example of grabbing life by the cojones. And when things don't go your way, the way that you've trained, you spent a lifetime training to be an OBGYN out of Compton, that's that's a testament. She's still licensed, but she can't practice because of a fall. And instead of being bitter or whatever, she has, not even recreated. She has allowed the blossoming and the manifestation of playwright, singer-songwriter, poet, author, children's book author, and that's she's living out my BS, my belief system. You don't have to do one thing, and life is so varied. And the sooner we stop buying the BS that we can only do one thing, or that we're here on the planet just to, get stuff, then the sooner we're going to have a really good time. So kudos to you, Dr. Tiffanie.
Thank you.
All right. I see eyeballs coming in. Thank you for tuning in. We'd love to have you comment and laugh or give us the finger, not that finger, but this finger. So we're just warming up here on Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show, and the very special Wednesday series called Doctors in the House with me and
Dr. Tiffanie Tate.
Yay! So thanks for joining us for breakfast. I promise you, if you continue to do this good life habit for 28 consecutive days, with or without me, every weekday morning, then you will sandwich your day in the most positive way. Thanks for joining us for breakfast. And Dr. Tiffanie, what is the topic for today?
Today, we are talking about travel. And traveling is something that most people love and some people dread. And there are ups and downs to travel. And I thought it was a good topic to address because I want to take out some of the woes to travel and hopefully try to give people a little bit of information to hopefully make it a little bit better and to take away some of the anxiety, because I really do enjoy it. But sometimes it can be overwhelming, and I have done quite a bit of travel from my countdown to my birthday this past year.
Yeah, let's just go through that just in case you haven't been following the escapades of my co-host. And she celebrates birthdays more than I do, which is people tease me all the time because I celebrate the whole month. She celebrates the whole year as a Leo. But start before the party.
Well, if we go from August to August, or if we just go from January to August, because if we go from August to August, last August, I thought because this was a milestone birthday, I needed to hit Australia last year and kind of wrap up. And so I went to Australia, the Maldives, and hit Dubai just for a layover. But my layover was like about 16 to 20 hours. So I went on an excursion into the city, and I learned quite a bit. And there was a hiccup because I was also supposed to go to Seychelles and I couldn't. And I'm going to talk about the problems as to why I couldn't. And that's why I want to talk about why traveling is important, so you don't get denied like I was denied from going to Seychelles. And then I did some staycations within the United States. I went to Myrtle Beach. I went to DC. I I went to Seattle. I went to Dallas. I went to let's see, a couple other places within the United States. Then I went to Costa Rica. I went to London. I went to France, and I went to Amsterdam. Just to name a few.
Just to name a few.
Off the top of my
head. I thought you beat me.
This year. within the
Canada. So to Canada twice, um, Australia, New Zealand, Shanghai, Beijing, Suzhou, Hong Kong, Taiwan, New York. I don't know if that counts. Um, let's see. I know there's a couple more in there, but as you can tell, Dr. Tiffanie and I love to travel. We are fortunate enough to travel. There are a lot of people who would love to travel, and they either don't have the means right now, or they don't have the time, right? Or they're afraid. So if you don't have the time or the money, you will. And I love that concept of the bucket list, that whoever did that book or movie, kudos to you for allowing us to begin to again dream. Like, the only time we sort of dream is what do you want to do when you're 4, right? What do you want to be when you grow up? But bucket list, I call it a bathtub list because it's bigger, allows you to think about those things you want to do or places you want to go. So if you're listening right now and it's like, well, I don't know, just, it's okay. This is the first point in manifesting, is the desire without saying I can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're someone who hasn't traveled, would like to travel, just make a list of those places that you think you want to go. And the good news is now there's so much information, and my assistant, you can use my assistant Google to check stuff out. There's so many beautiful pictures and videos of people who travel. So that's for the people who aren't traveling. But for the people who are afraid to travel or go to the same places all the time, this show today, at least from my end, I'm going to encourage you to think beyond the spa. I mean, it's good to have the spa, it's good to have the beach, but the opportunity that travel gives you to be the best you can be is amazing. And when Dr. Tiffanie picked this topic, I was just like, this is my life. What caught? What are the chances of that? I not accidentally, had on a travel journalist. Usually Mental Health Mondays I do on my own, right? But I had met him on Saturday on my birthday online for a course we had to take to prep us to teach at UCLA. So he's been teaching there for a while, but it was mandatory for me to take it. Met him, and I had him come on because he talked about travel in war-torn countries. I think you'd enjoy that interview. I'll send you that link. But then yesterday I had a journalist on, and now we're talking about travel. So full circle. I love my life.
Mm-hmm.
So why did you pick this topic?
I picked this topic because I just got back from Costa Rica. And actually, before I went to Costa Rica, the weekend before, I celebrated my cousin's 50th birthday. And we did a weekend cruise to Mexico, to Ensenada. I forgot. I've been to Mexico, and like Valentine's Day, I went to the Mexican Riviera. We're here in California. It doesn't take much. You don't even need a flight to hop on a cruise to go down to the Mexican Riviera. So those are other quick fixes if you want to take a quick travel getaway. And I was thinking, well, there are some good things that you can do with travel. And I have global entry, and I've been trying to get on my kids to give me their social security cards back so I can get them signed up for global entry. So I went through the global entry line, and then they had to go through the regular line. So I was sitting around eating while they had to go in line for an hour. And I was thinking, I think this is a good thing and a good time to talk to families about making sure that everybody is on the same page and making sure that all families are tied together. Everybody has TSA pre-check. everybody has global entry, making sure that all families have the same plan so that all families can stay together. So this would be a good time to just address travel and just talk about the ins and outs. And then I was thinking about my trip last year when I went to celebrate my birthday, and I tried to go to Seychelles. And when I went to the Maldives, and I also wanted to add on a trip to Seychelles. And Seychelles is kind of, you have to fly through India. And I never encountered this. And I was thinking, okay, when I checked information about visas, I had my visa for the country I was in. I had my visa for Seychelles. Okay. They said, well, you need a visa for India. I said, well, I'm not staying in India. They said, but your luggage is traveling through India. I said, but I'm not staying in India. They said, well, if your luggage is traveling through India, you need a visa for your luggage to travel through India. I said, that doesn't even make sense. So they said, we'll give you a same day visa. I think they
How
wanted,
much?
yes, it was all about the money. I can't remember if it was like $500 or $1,000. It was something ridiculous. I said, well, I was only going to be in Seychelles because it was an add-on to the trip for like maybe 4 days or something like that. And I was like, I want to activate my insurance and just go back. Either way, I'm still waiting on my refund through the insurance, and the insurance takes forever to give you your refund back. So I'm still fighting with the insurance company. That was why we did the buyer beware.
Okay.
A lot of times, some of these countries will try to get over on you. Well, for your luggage to pass through India, even if you're not staying in India, you need a visa for your luggage to travel through that country. So I would say, I know that was something I learned.
Yeah.
So you don't need a visa. You need to figure out who your travel agent is, because my travel agent didn't mention it. And I used the company because we were flying business class and everything, and they didn't mention anything about needing a visa for our luggage. So I was highly, highly disappointed. And it was a very upsetting process.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed everything else about it. But Dubai is definitely a country I want to go back and spend more time in.
Look at all these. I'm shocked how much I never knew. There's so many scams, visa scams, layover scams. Wow. I had no idea. Denied, check it out. And here, this is the one from you, I think. Denied boarding. So, okay. I learned something. I love learning things new. This is one of those not positive. Well, better prepared, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But aside from that, most of the time things go smoothly. And so I would say really look into, like, when you're traveling abroad, especially to some of the third world countries, really look into whether or not you need a visa. And visas are usually very inexpensive. Sometimes they're free. Sometimes they're only like $25. And if you don't know, just err on the side of caution and get it. Because it's easier to have it than to not have it.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to take a quick break for station ID. If you've just tuned in, don't go away. We'll be right back. This is Doctors in the House with Dr. Marissa and
Dr. Tiffanie Tate
on KCAA, the station that leaves no listener behind. Home to the Asian Oprah, the #1 talk in the IE. And we'll be right back in 1 and 1. Don't go away.
back your life with Dr. Marissa Pei.
And welcome back. You're tuned in to Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA AM 1050, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, and of course my YouTube TV channel that I have been. Oh, that's what's missing. Let's see, episode number 1208 and 641 consecutive weeks on the air. A show about hope and happiness, balancing out all the bad news out there with some good news, good people like my co-host here, Dr. Tiffanie Tate, and of course, good topics that will enhance your life and make you happy 88% of the time. That's the goal here. And we're delighted to have you. We've been talking about travel. Dr. Tiffany's giving some really good advice for those of you who may not be aware of some of the things that she has learned the hard way. And now she's helping us with not so hard. One thing that I was also accidentally caught because I didn't have the right visa was when I was traveling in Europe. And I lived in Brussels. And so I would on the weekends, just take the Eurorail all over. And I wanted to go to Prague. And at that time I was on a Canadian visa or no, a Canadian passport? I can't remember. But one of my passports at the time, I think it was my Canadian. It was my Canadian passport because I hadn't become a U.S. citizen until after 9/11. So it was Canadian. And I was on the train and we stopped at the border and I saw these gentlemen with uniforms and guns walk through the train. And I'm like, oh, something's going on. And they stopped right in front of me and said, you need to get off of the train. And I'm like, what? So yeah, I was escorted by gun off of the train because my Canadian passport was not recognized in Prague without the visa.
Ooh.
So yeah, I learned that the hard way. But so that was in 1992. And it took me I think I was in Prague like 4 years ago, right before COVID. So I did end up going back. It was beautiful, but yeah, I had to get over that's real fear.
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
That's some PTSD. But yeah, so we're talking about travel. Love to have any questions or comments yourself. Where the best places to go are now that we're starting to travel again and be more comfortable with it. Speaking of travel and 911, if you haven't watched it, I got Apple TV to watch Fly Me to the Moon, and it's not out yet. But I did watch an amazing musical that I didn't even know existed on Apple TV. It's called Come Over Now, Come From Now. I'll look it up. I have great memory, horrible recall. I just watched it last night. It's a musical. And it is brilliant. So, Dr. Tiffany, you would love it because I know you love musicals. It's so good and very heartwarming because it's based on a true story during 9/11 in Canada when all the planes had to get diverted when they couldn't land because of the terrorist on 9/11. So we'll find the name. All right, Dr. Tiffany, what else? Actually, before we are at halfway mark, you want to give a little information about your children's books that are out now over the summer. That way people can get them.
Yes, I currently have 2 books available right now. I have Little Engine Mia Sings and I have Bad Touching, Both are presently available on Amazon as well as Barnes and Nobles. Little Engine Mia Sings is also available as an audiobook. And coming September is Money Matters, which teaches children about investing as well as saving and tithing. And I hope you purchase the books as a gift or for your niece, nephew, or your child. Thank you. They make great rhythmic stories and they help to educate and encourage children.
All righty. That's awesome. I like the money one for sure because kids, myself included, really, that's not a topic that is covered in school, and it should be. Financial illiteracy is real, and I didn't know. And if your parents don't teach you either because I don't know. I think it just isn't. It isn't one of those things that people understand to talk about, really. So I love that you're doing that. So kudos to
I'm
you.
hoping that parents will learn as they read it to their children. So you kill two birds with one stone. As they read it, they learn as well.
Very good. Speaking of things that aren't taught, I'll give a little commercial myself for a course that you can actually sign up for at UCLA. I'm teaching this fall. I tried to retire from teaching after 10 years, and they're getting me back. So I'm going to teach a new course that I taught it in China, and I'll be teaching it as part of my spiel now, because there is no course, just like we talked about the financial literacy, there is no course that I am aware of outside of psychology, which also doesn't necessarily put the two together. The course is called Leadership Success and Happiness. And the reason why I'm teaching this is personal mastery, personal and professional mastery. We don't talk about the critic in the head. We don't talk about our fear of failure or fear of success, or we don't talk about perfectionism and how it's never enough or we're not good enough, and how all of that affects your ability to be effective, not just as an employee, but as a leader, as an entrepreneur. I mean, you can have all the capital you want, but if you don't believe in yourself, or you are driven by that ugly voice, that Caleb Dressler in the Olympics, the swimmer, gold medalist, comes off. Simone Biles, gold medalist, goes home and is attacked by the critic, our own internal barriers, self-inflicted barriers to our success. So it is open for anybody to take. So I'm going to flip it up here for you to see. But that's my little commercial. If you want to join me this fall, it's 6 weeks. Monday and Tuesday evenings for 3 hours. So it's online, so you can do it from anywhere. And I'll pull up that so you can see how to register. All right. Travel.
Okay. And so I think it's important to know why you should travel. Traveling is important because it broadens your perspective, it improves your mental health, it improves your creativity. I know that I did a lot of writing when I was traveling. It helped inspire me. I wrote my first play when I did a lot of traveling. I sat on my balconies. I would overlook and see the water. And when I was cruising, or when I was just sitting out and looking at the water in Fiji or Australia. And you get to create memories with your family and your friends, lifelong memories. And so it's good to take photos that you can look back on and appreciate, because the reality is Nothing lasts forever, especially when people pass away and they're gone. You can always look back and say, I had a good time with these people, and no one can take that away from you. And so it's an essential part of life. And I think that that is really important. What do you think, Dr. Marissa?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Some of you know my friend that he's my teammate. I've been racing with him for 20 years. And he died suddenly. His wife found him in the shower, collapsed, and, 48 years old. So there's the other reason to travel and to do as much as you can, because you just don't know. And so every time I get a reminder like that life is short, I know that I live every day as if it's my last. So I'm hoping that, those of you who've always wanted to travel or things that you've always wanted to do, now's the time. If you're saying, I don't have just like, gospel according to Nike, just do it. Because
Absolutely.
life is short. So I'll pop this up there before I forget. I'm sorry I didn't have this ready, but this is the course Leadership Series Part 3, Leadership, Success, and Happiness. And you can register here. It's live online. Here's more about the course. And then you'll recognize the instructor, the professor here. So love to have you. I'll pop the link into the chat so you can get that. Just use my assistant Google and look up UCLA Leadership, Success, and Happiness. All right. So the thing too that I just want to bring in what my guest on Monday, Michael Luongo out of New York, he does research, and his dissertation is about, tourism in war-torn countries or countries that have had war. Did you know, Dr. Tiffanie, because I didn't, that tourism is the possibly even the same number one, but it's definitely number two industry in the world? Did you know that? I mean, you may have known that.
Mm-hmm.
Did know that. Of course you did. But petroleum is number one.
Mm-hmm.
But in my mind, tourism is just like, it's like extra, right? It's not something that everybody will do or whatever. So to find that out, I was like stunned. So yeah.
Because a lot of times it's their bread and butter. And especially when you take tours in those third world countries and you drive around through the areas in which they live, you can actually see how they live. Because I love to take the tours through the cities, and you get to appreciate what you have. And I think it's important to appreciate the culture. And hopefully my perspective is people are like, oh my goodness, we have all these immigrants, we have this. I look at it like this: you have no control over what country your mother pushed you out on. And you should just be very thankful and blessed that you were born in America, because you had no control over where you were born. Mm-hmm. And the way I see it, this is all God's land, and nobody is truly illegal. And that's just my perspective. I think everybody should be allowed to pay taxes wherever they live. And we are all God's people. And that's the Christian way, if you're going to call yourself a Christian. But that's I digress. But
so Dr. Tiffanie just put the moose on the table, which is my Canadian version of talking about the elephant in the room. And before you move off that topic, I'm going to join you in that, because this is a really important time in the history. I don't talk about politics, but I'm just going to talk about principle. And the psychological term for liking people when they're away from you, and the differences in the culture when you're traveling on vacation, but then suddenly when they're in your backyard and they are still the same, different people. It is intolerable. Intolerable. That's actually a psychological term called the backyard effect. Okay, so it will really help us as we move forward and not backward as a country to remember that our country was founded upon the Statue of Liberty inviting all who are tired and weary, I'm going to get emotional here, to come to this land of freedom and liberty in the pursuit of happiness. And let's not forget that as we have very loud, angry, intolerant, non-diversity loving leaders and mouthpieces that are playing on an assumption that this land was built by one race. It wasn't. Heck, we're going to go that route. It was National Indigenous Day. They are the rightful first people on this country, in this country. So please, let's not forget that as we are angrily hurling insults to the different parties. I really, that's as close as I'll get to politics, but I cannot not say that because it just breaks my heart when I see what's going on.
Yeah. But I wanted to say that a lot of times people are like, when should I travel with my infant or with my children? And a lot of times people are like, oh, that baby shouldn't be traveling. Well, I will say that I traveled with Nathaniel when he was born because my uncle had passed away. And I think it's important that you can travel with an infant. You just need to know how to properly travel with an infant. A lot of times they have, little short eustachian tubes, just like our ears pop, their ears pop, and they can say, hey, my ear is hurting. And I think it's important to have something for them to either drink or suck on takeoff and landing and sometimes mid-flight, whether it's a pacifier or a bottle, and maybe try to keep them up before they take a nap. Don't let them take a nap in the airport. Try to keep them awake. You want them to take a nap during the flight. That way they can kind of sleep through the flight and you can nurse them if you're breastfeeding, or you can give them a bottle if you're bottle feeding. It doesn't matter how you're feeding your infant. It's up to you. It is your preference, but you want to feed them on takeoff and landing or give them a pacifier because it'll help with that ear pressure and helping their ears pop. A lot of times it's important maybe to make sure that they've had their vaccines, or if you're not into vaccines, wait for them to have their immune systems developed. Okay. So you may, if possible, you want to wait till they're at least about 3 to 6 months, if able, if you don't have vaccines in place.
Great. If you've just tuned in, wondering what's going on, this is Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show in our very special Wednesday series called Doctors in the House with Dr. Marissa and
Dr. Tiffanie Tate.
And we're talking about travel, all dimensions of. We'll be right back after a break for news and traffic. Don't go away. We'll be right back. We'll be back in 2 and 2, like Chuck Woolery used to say, but I'll say peace in, peace out. Don't go away.
Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pei.
And welcome back. You're tuned into Doctors in the House, special Wednesday series on Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show with myself and
Dr. Tiffanie Tate.
We're talking about travel and all those things that you can be prepared for and avoid getting escorted off of a train by the police and charge $500 in between for your luggage, paying more than double for your luggage. I want to answer a question that people ask me all the time, and I'm sure they ask you too, Dr. Tiffanie. What are your top 3 most fun destinations that if people are not thinking about or they're running out of ideas, what would you say the top 3 have to go in your lifetime? And while you're thinking about that, I will say definitely have to go to the Great Barrier Reef if you're a scuba diver, for sure. Although I understand there is been some erosion, climate change has damaged the coral. It's still magnificent, and if you haven't gone there, please go there. I want to know about Maldives, because apparently that's a huge scuba diving. Did you do scuba when you were in Maldives, or snorkel?
I believe we did snorkeling. We did not do scuba diving. I would equate Maldives to like a glorified Gilligan's Island because the Wi-Fi was very limited. And when we went there, they were like, "What happened to the submarine?" And we found out what happened to the missing submarine like 3 months prior, that it had, already imploded and the people had passed away.
What?
Remember the submarine, the missing submarine? They didn't know what the results were. They were asking us what had happened, and we'd already found out what had happened to the submarine 3 months ago. So they were still asking us what had happened. And so they were like 3 months behind when it came to like major news.
So it was like a what? I missed the
glorified Gilligan's Island. Remember the show Gilligan's Island?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Don Wells was a friend of mine.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, Glover. I just didn't hear it.
Yes, it's very beautiful. I mean, we got to feed sharks. I mean, it was very beautiful. Sang karaoke every night. You would love it. And so it was all-inclusive resort. We traveled to other islands. You had to get there you could take the little sea. We took a seaplane, or you could take a boat, but we took the seaplane to get to the island. And it was nice. It was beautiful. I have to send you some of the pictures. And the waters were just so turquoise and just lovely. But it's very secluded, and you're not really going to get much as far as TV or phone. You go there to be
you can tell Dr. Tiffanie, like I are Leos and need the connections. For some people, that's a good thing. That it's not a bad thing that it's a glorified Gilligan's Island. They want to be away from all of that. So if you're looking for instant seclusion, that sounds like the destination to go.
Yeah.
What's your favorite city in the States to go and see?
I think my favorite city in the States, I love New Orleans because, there's the music, there's the food, and there's just fun everywhere. But I'm also kind of split between Nashville because that's also a music city. And I lived there for 10 years, and I did my residency there, and I did medical school there. And I would say, I love music, and you can do karaoke, and, again, the karaoke. You would love the karaoke. The nightlife, downtown Nashville, and the skyline is beautiful. And
I've been to both of those places as well. I agree with you. I actually had my book launch in Tennessee, so that was kind of fun. And what is the name of the strip there in Tennessee down? They call it's a funny name that is kind of like Las Vegas, but I forgot the name of it. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh God.
If you're listening to this now or later and you can remind me, that would be awesome, because it's a funny name. Like it's a different version of the strip. They call it anyways. But New Orleans, I love. Yay. throwing the beads down whatever Bourbon Street is it, and girls flashing their yeah, and that was a lot of fun. If you haven't done the drive from San Francisco down to Los Angeles along the one, I used to do it every year. It was my therapy trip with the top down, hashtag topless, not that kind. And you have to experience that in your lifetime. I promise you, you will your heart will be warmed. It's an incredible, incredible view of Mother Nature showing off. So that would be one of mine.
I've only made it to, because I went to UC Santa Barbara. So I used to drive from UC Santa Barbara to LA. I haven't made it all the way up to San Francisco yet, but that is on my to-do list.
Yes, on your bathtub list for sure. And Portofino in the Italian Riviera, not because I met Madonna there, but because it is, again, one of the most beautiful places to go. And here's a travel tip, that I accidentally ended up in the French Riviera on July 18th, which is Bastille Day. So if you are like, when should I take a vacation, and you're able to do non-holidays of ours, go use my assistant Google again and look for holidays in that culture that you're going to, and learn about the country through the lens of that holiday. So that's my little tip that is fun, and you get to learn more.
Yeah, I think what I really was impressed by Vienna, they had the freshest tap water, and I'm like, a bottled
The
water.
freshest
Tap water. Their water was as good as bottled water. And I was very surprised because I was like, I'm not drinking that water. They were like, trust me, you should drink their water. This is where the bottled water comes from. Because we went to, Germany and Vienna. And I was like, I'm not drinking that water. We climbed the Alps and everything. I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. And they're like, just try it, Tiffany, try it. It was so good. I'm a water
really,
and it was so good. I was pleasantly surprised. I'm a water snob. I'll own it. And it was so good. I was very surprised.
Great. Yeah, I grew up in Waterloo, and they have the best tasting water. Waterloo. We got a heart somewhere along the way. Thank you for that. We love reactions, especially positive ones here on the show. Please identify yourself if you are in the Cashew Gallery. I'd love to say hi and pop up your name on the screen. We've been talking about travel, and we're ending with our favorite places to go, and encouraging you to take part in this lovely ability in life to be able to do this. And if you're saying that you don't have enough money, I have a little tip for you. This is a little practice, or hashtag Blisscipline. In my wallet, I always have a $100 bill, and it is a reminder of how abundant I am. Even if it's the only, and there have been times in my life going through that very expensive divorce where that was the only money I had. But when I have the 100 in there, I feel like I have more than enough. And instead of saying I can't afford that, or I don't have enough money, it's proof that I have money, and I choose to buy something or not. So a little tip, anybody who's not feeling very financially secure, just try that and see if it shifts you out of thinking that you don't have enough.
Mm-hmm. And another one of my favorite places was Bondi Beach in Australia.
Uh-huh.
The whales, while you're eating lunch, the whales kind of play with each other off the shore. And I was like, we don't have that in the US. I don't see whales playing on the beach. And that was just miraculous to see the spouts. I was like, to see that, you have to get on a boat to go to Catalina Island or go whale watching. And so I thought that was absolutely fabulous.
That's so great. I agree with you. Bondi Beach is amazing. I was there in January. So I had two people recognize me on Bondi Beach, from my interview with Halle Berry. That's, the craziness of online, whatever. But Kathy Obaro, friend of mine, Agape, when I was in the choir, she's in the choir. She's en français, and she does music herself. And she's saying, Vienna has good water.
Yes.
Yes, you're going to have to go and try it out. And love to Little Joy. She has a daughter by family of choice. And so please give her my love. All right. We're out of time. I was going to say time for final word. We have no time for final word, but we're so delighted that you joined us this morning for Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, home to the Asian Oprah, AM 1050, FM 106.5, #1 talk in the IE. Thanks to, and my wonderful, fabulous co-host,
Dr. Tiffanie Tate.
And we are here to wish you the best travels that you can have in this lifetime. Please do put down in your, you don't have to have a vision board, just to put out a little piece of paper, carry in your wallet, and set that intention, and hope your dreams come true, as all of mine and Dr. Tiffany's have. Oh, we've got a new one. Dre Scott. Hi, beautiful ladies. Blessings to you. Is this one of your family?
And no.
No? Oh, cool. Then, I mean, not cool. That's not your family, but we got great fans in your family. It's all, usually I see more family love in the chat, but thank you, Dre and Kathy, for joining us this morning to chat about travel and just to say hello, because it's all about balance. Peace in, peace out. World peace through inner peace. Tune in tomorrow for Straight Talk with myself and James Hawthorne. Who knows what we're going to talk about, but we do sometimes get down and dirty a little bit. So we'll see you tomorrow at 9. Thank you, Dr. Tiffany. Now go and have the best day ever. We'll see you tomorrow.
Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pei.